let's get into it. I think there's a couple of things that people missed in some conferences and interviews that Trump had. He is sending major signals to the deep state, let's say, to the people who backdoored him, the people who undermined him secretly and not so secretly throughout his first term. I'm going to show you this first clip. It's just him talking about Biden giving out all these pardons. And then we're going to hear two clips where he's really putting some, I want to just say, threats out there to the deep state. I think they're coded threats, like a dark message for the deep state and for Joe Biden. Listen to this.
I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family, because that makes him look very guilty. You know, I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. And I said, if I do that, it's going to make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, because I would have shown that you're guilty. But by pardoning his brother or brothers, by pardoning all of those people that he pardoned, by pardoning J6, the Unselect Committee, they destroyed all of the documents. They deleted all of the information. There's no information. And a lot of the information pertains to Nancy Pelosi, because she was given 100, I mean, you know this, it's on tape with her daughter. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for not taking advantage of 10,000 soldiers or 1,000. You wouldn't have you could have used 400. It was a relatively small crowd. It wasn't the crowd that was at the mall. It was a small crowd. So I was a little bit surprised that he did it, because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's going to have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates for a president. But the precedent is unbelievable. Now maybe every president that leaves office, they're going to pardon every person they ever met, so they don't have some lunatic like deranged Jack Smith, who's a total lunatic, by the way. Not a smart guy either, he's a dummy. But we beat the hell out of him. And I helped my reputation.
Do you think you'd have to do the same thing at the end of this term?
Well, I guess now I have precedent to do it. I wouldn't want to do that. No, I think it makes you look very guilty. I think it makes Biden look very bad, very weak, and very guilty. And I mean, he pardoned everybody. How about this J6 committee? Why is he pardoning them? The reason is because if you delete and destroy documentation, everything, they have nothing, because they were guilty as hell. They rigged it. It was a rigged deal. And when you do that, they look very bad. But I was a little surprised he did it. Liz Cheney, I mean, she's a lunatic. And she lost by the greatest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress, like 40 points. The reason it was the greatest is because anybody losing that badly is going to drop out. But she's a nut job. She doesn't drop out. You know, she just keeps chugging forward. And she lost by almost 40 points. That's the biggest number anybody's ever lost by. But why would Biden do that? He pardoned her and pardoned everybody. The reason is that they destroyed documents. And if you're even in a civil case, which this wouldn't be, I mean, people go to jail for a long time for doing that. What's this one?
That's unleashing energy.
Just in between signing documents, just laying all that out there. Now, listen to this, okay? So he's right. It does make him sound very guilty. He gave out all these pardons. Then all of a sudden, just a few days later, he's sitting with Sean Hannity and says this.
I went through 4 years of hell by this scum that we had to deal with. I went through 4 years of hell. I spent millions of dollars in legal fees, and I won. But I did it the hard way. It's really hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through it also. It is very hard to say that.
Now, like that right there sounds Like he's wrestling with the fact that he's like, what am I? I'm not gonna try and prosecute these guys. I'm not gonna go after them. I'm not gonna tell people to do that. I'm not gonna have my attorney general and soon to be confirmed director of the FBI. I'm just gonna not have them do anything. And now you can see he's wrestling with that. But then the reason I show you that is because of what he says here. Listen to this.
Joe Biden ran and said he would never do preemptive pardons. It was an issue that came up when you were leaving in your first time.
He thought, he heard that I was going to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered. You had Bannon put in jail. You had Peter Navarro put in jail. You had people that suffered. And far worse than that, they've lost their fortunes. They've lost their whatever, their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people, and people said, and they wouldn't have even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken a pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Wow. So what does that mean right now? I mean, listen to what he just said. He said the sad thing, I guess it's a sad thing, he didn't pardon himself because most of this stuff has to do with him. That's very, very telling. What is Trump going to do? You know, a lot of times when I heard the first pardon with Hunter Biden, I was like, oh, he's doing that so Hunter can't testify or doesn't have to testify against him ever. And, by covering Hunter, he covers himself in regards to all of Hunter's dealings, right? But then, Trump's right. All of this stuff happened. He's still connected to a bunch of it. So it's like he pardoned everybody, but he can't pardon himself. Does that mean that Trump's going to go after Biden potentially? I don't know. I mean, does he even really deserve it? My instinct says yes, but then, because of how the country is. I mean, look what's happened. This guy's coming out. He's telling people the economy's great. It's not. He's not answering questions. He's falling asleep. He's wandering around. He has Kamala Harris as a VP. His long decades of just corruption and lying, time and time again, getting caught plagiarizing, lying about his schooling, lying about basically like where he's from, where he's grown up and stuff like that. I mean, it's always like, I grew up in an Irish neighborhood. I grew up in a Polish neighborhood. I was the only person. I grew up in the black church. It's like, how do you grow up in an Irish neighborhood and grow up in the black church? Like, how does that work? What Irish neighborhood has a black church in it? I don't know. It'd be a pretty wild church, I gotta say. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he deserves it. After all these years of doing stuff like that he's done. Allowing Hunter to do what he did. When he did have his cognitive abilities, he was doing things with Hunter. Allegedly. Enabled Barack Obama. Helped Barack Obama along the way. I don't know. I don't know what Trump's going to do, but it seems like he's going to do something. I'll play it one more time. I mean, really.
Even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken a pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
It's a funny thing, maybe a sad thing. Maybe a sad thing depending on what happens. Then you have the other clip where he's like, I went through 4 years of hell. And it's, it's hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through that too. Man, it's funny. The first term, the deep state, the agencies, they were coming at him. And this term, it's him going at them. And he wasn't running scared the first term. But this second, but he was getting, pushed and pulled from different ends, like unknowingly, a little bit knowingly. because they were brazen about it, but they were also really secretive about it, where they needed to be. But this time around, it's like he's going after them, and they're scattering. They're running as quickly as they can away from this situation. They're just pardons everywhere, documents gone. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But here's the one thing I do know. Kash Patel's going to get confirmed. They don't have anything on Kash Patel other than he's a Trump loyalist. Well, what do you know? The guy that he wants in a position that's high and regarded is a Trump loyalist. Makes sense. That's the only thing they're going to have on him. With Pete, they had a whole bunch of stuff where they were going back and forth and they were picking him apart and they were bringing up things that, you know, I think lacked integrity, the things they were bringing up, because he has a past, you know, I think there was like infidelity and things like that, but it's like, I don't know. You don't try and link that to his position. It was dirty what they did with Pete. But when it comes to Kash Patel, he doesn't have anything like that on him. They're not going to be able to fight this. The guy's been a prosecutor. He knows the job in and out. He's worked in the intel community. There's no one who can say he's not ready and he's not capable for this position. But the one thing he has brought up time and time again is he wants to release lists. He wants more transparency. And he wants that current bureau to not be focused on the American people, but to be focused outward. And anybody who's been doing foul play, let's say, is going to get exposed. And I don't think it's going to just stop with the bureau. I think he's going to go after whoever. I don't think Trump's going to be able to say, and of course he could, he's the president. But if Trump's not saying anything, if he's not telling him to go anywhere and he's not telling him who to not go after, I think Kash Patel is just going to regulate. Everywhere he has the authority, I think he's going to expose and he's going to go after some people. And I think Trump is silently going to enjoy the hell out of it. I hope, at least. Anyways, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It was a short one today. Turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. They're coming after me again when it comes to YouTube. If you've listened this far, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications. And let me know if you're getting the notifications as well, because they're coming down on me. Anyway, I'm out.